Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So today, let's take a look at the 2025 Hyundai Santa Cruz. This is the limited all-wheel drive. It's finished off in sage green, and they have a starting MSRP just over $44,000. Now this is powered by the 2.5-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. It's paired to the 8-speed dual clutch automatic, pumps out 281 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque. Sent through that all-wheel drive system, it will propel this from 0 to 60 in just over 6 seconds, weighing in around 4,200 pounds, and it also has a top speed of 133 miles an hour. Its fuel capacity is 17.7 gallons, and you can expect to see 19 miles per gallon in the city and 27 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 118.3 inches. Its overall length is 195.7. It has a width of 75, a height of 66.7, and its ground clearance measures in at 8.6 inches. Now for the 25-year model, there have been some slight updates compared to the previous year model. So we have a new front fascia to resemble some of the latest designs from Hyundai. Has a really nice design to it with a large Hyundai badge in the middle. There's also a forward camera, and then you'll notice a really unique design for all of the lighting. So the turn signal, the headlights and high beams are actually the lower housing, and then integrated into the grille, you'll notice the DRLs, which is a nice design. Now this model also has some chrome accents for the front end. There's a sensor in the lower section, and then some cutouts there to provide additional cooling. And then a few lines coming down the hood to give it a great look. Now as we work our way to the side, this has a two-tone design for these wheels, and you'll notice too the plastic fender flares also have a small Hyundai Cruz stamped on them with a neat pattern running throughout them. This also has body colored mirrors which have a camera and a turn signal. There's a sunroof up top along with the roof racks, and then some black for the window trim. You'll notice the trim also extends from the fender arches to the lower side skirt just to blend that in nicely, and then there's some really nice lines that flow down the side. Now as we work our way to the back, you'll see Santa Cruz stamped in the lower section of the tailgate. Hyundai is also in this brushed trim accent. There is a backup camera. There's no parking sensors for this, but you will notice in the bumper there's also these steps, so you can use those to enter and exit the bed if you need to. And then you'll notice there's an exhaust over on that passenger side. Now this does feature a remote start, so just lock it and hold on this button, and you can bring this to life. And then you can also hold on this to shut it off as needed. And then you have lock and unlock, and then you can actually release the tailgate from the key fob too. Or you can just use the control underneath where it does have the soft opening tailgate. Now this particular model also has this factory installed cover, which from what I've read can hold about 440 pounds. So you can place some items up top. You can use these channels here for additional racks, so maybe you can put some bikes or something across there and still have all of the cargo space. Now all you have to do is put it from the latch to the slide, and you can push it all the way back where you'll notice there's a rope there to pull it back. Now, this is a very small bed. I don't see you fitting in some large items like dirt bikes or motorcycles or something like that, but you could fit in some mountain bikes or some odd-shaped items, things like that. You could also put some items underneath the floor where there is a drain plug, so maybe you could use that as a cooler if you needed to. It's not the highest, but you could throw in some straps or whatever equipment you may need for the bed of this. And there's also some storage pockets, some tie-down rails too. Maybe if you didn't get this cover option, you'd have a few more inches to work with to place some items. But with this, I can just grab the strap and put it back in that latched position. And then the tailgate is pretty lightweight, so that's easy to close. So if you're looking for a pickup truck style vehicle, this is basically an SUV with that bed. You can fit in some items that may not fit in the back of an SUV simply because of the height. Now, the vehicle is currently locked, so I do have to hit unlock. There's no proximity door handles on the back. And for this interior, you'll notice there's a really nice two-tone design. There's some gloss black accents, and then you have cup holder storage, maybe a little bit of storage there, but that's really the grab handle. There's no storage in the lower section. And then taking a look at the interior, this has the white seats, which is nice to see. And you can also fold them up, so you can pull that strap on the side of it where this bin goes all the way to the passenger side. So if you want to place some items underneath, makes it a lot more practical for this smaller size. Now, once in back, there's some storage pockets. There's vents in the middle along with auxiliaries down below. And at my height, 5'10", I have maybe 3 inches of headroom. This is a smaller vehicle, not as large as a mid-size pickup truck, yet you still have plenty of space in the back for full-size adults. Now, right in the middle, you'll notice too, there's an armrest with cup holders, and then there's also the manual sliding rear glass, so you can adjust that as needed. A little bit of a pillar right there, but it's still pretty easy to see around. So even from the driver's seat, you'd be able to see clearly around that. Now up front, this does get memory seating adjustments. You'll notice there's the window control, side mirror adjustments. You do get storage for your front passengers, and then there's power operating seats, which have a really nice design to them. Now, as we hop in this, we're greeted with a leather steering wheel. And as we start this up, this does have paddle shifters. So for that 8-speed, you can use those as needed, which I will show here later. On this left side, there's all the cruise control settings along with lane keeping assist. And then you have your plus and minus for your speed. On the right side, there's mode, voice commands, volume tuning. There's even a shortcut control. So you can use that and set it up to what you use the most going through that infotainment system. And then also on this left side, you can go through some more information for the digital gauge cluster. So you'll notice there's fixed information on the left side and the right side, and then you can scroll through all of this information just depending on what you'd like to see. So quite a lot of daily driving information there to monitor. Now on this left side, there's a tow control, as this can tow around 5,000 pounds. There's also traction control, a bed light, dimmer switches for the gauges there. You do have this blank panel right here. Not exactly sure what that is. I didn't find any research as to what that will do. But with the infotainment system now, you have quite a lot that you can go through. And this is where we have some updates for the 25-year model. So down below, you'll notice there's a separated screen for the climates and then physical buttons up top to go through this information, where you have all of these icons that you can scroll through as needed. And then you even have some shortcuts to get into the map, so you can pull that up in full screen. You can get into your media. There's also another favorites control, so you can get into this along with your Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and customize that. And then you have various settings to go into under setup. Now you can use it as a touchscreen system, so you do have some adjustments that you can go through and monitor, but it's very easy to use all the shortcuts down below. You'll notice there's air vents in between that. And then down below, this gets heated and ventilated seats, a heated steering wheel. There's temperature adjustments. You have those on both sides along with fan speed, where you'd like the air to go. This is laid out incredibly well. So it's very nice to have that separated for this newer model. Now there's also wireless charging. You have several auxiliaries down below. There's also cup holders too. And then putting this into reverse, you'll notice the backup camera with the top-down view. Now there's also a few adjustments that you can go through. There's the 360 view, so that way you can swipe around it. And then you also have several rear-facing angles. Now you can also get into the forward-facing camera, of course, by putting this into drive. So now we can pull that up and go through some of the same angles. And then you'll notice the top-down view on that right side. And as you just saw, I pulled it up in full screen. Now you can also shift using the shifter or the paddles, which is nice. And then another camera angle is using your turn signal. So I forgot to mention that. If you put your left turn signal on or your right turn signal, you have those additional cameras to help with any blind spots. Now behind that, there is a control for the driving modes. So you can go between snow, there's smart, sport, and normal, which will adjust the throttle response too. Now with this all-wheel drive system, there's a center locking differential along with downhill assist, auto hold, and the e-brake. There's also a control for the camera system, so you can pull up that forward-facing camera angle and full screen. Now you do have a little bit of storage in the armrest. There's also plenty in the glove box. You have a lot of storage for your passenger up top. And then there's garage door buttons along with dome lights and controls for the sunroof. The sunshade there is manually adjusting. And then here's a look at visibility. That pillar's not quite as large from the front here, so you can easily see over both shoulders. As we sat up behind the wheel for the Hyundai Santa Cruz, I've been driving this for the day. It's a really nice vehicle to drive. If you're looking for an SUV, but you want a little bit more space for the back, so you don't have that enclosed space, this is a great option. It's not that much bigger than a Hyundai SUV, so in terms of driving this in the city or smaller roads, maneuvering in parking lots, things like that, you really won't have to get used to the length of it because it's not much longer, which is nice. So it's not an intimidating pickup. It's much smaller than a mid-sized truck. I own a Toyota Tacoma, and having this in the driveway, it's significantly smaller than my truck. But with that being said, it's still pretty open on the interior, so I could sit comfortably in the back seat. You have basically that SUV up front to be comfortable and accommodating for all of your passengers, and then you have the open bed space for some items. Now keep in mind, it is a smaller bed. Most midsize trucks have a 5-foot bed. This is even smaller than that. Has a pretty long tailgate though to help kind of make up for that, but it is significantly smaller. So if you are looking to buy this, just do your measurements with items that you think you are going to be hauling to make sure that you have a large enough bed for those items. But in general, this would be a very fun adventure type of vehicle. So you want something that is going to be very fuel efficient. It's going to be very comfortable to drive, just like an SUV, of course. Easy to enter and exit. It's not a large vehicle. And then you have both the roof rack and the bed in the back, along with this factory cover, which of course is an option depending on what you would like. You have a great adventure type of vehicle. So you could put maybe some kayaks on this, you could put mountain bikes in the back, things like that that are going to be a little bit difficult to fit inside of an SUV. I think this is a really cool option to go with. And as far as its maneuverability, like I mentioned earlier, pretty easy to be able to turn around in this section here. But now let's do the fun part, which is putting this into sport mode, where we have a very responsive transmission. So here we go. And as we get up to speed, it's what you'd expect for a vehicle like this. That 4-cylinder turbo has plenty of power to get up and move. And then the paddles are also very responsive too. Now, it's not something you're probably going to be using in this vehicle, but if you wanted to, they are there. You could use them to downshift. Maybe if you happen to take this off the pavement, there's the center locking differential, which will actually make all 4 wheels spin at the same rate. So this is all-wheel drive, but you can lock that system to get some better traction. If you're in gravel, you're going hiking somewhere, you're in some terrain like that, maybe some dirt, you have that. You can use the paddles here to downshift, maybe hold the gear as well. So there's some nice off-roading features. It doesn't have the most ground clearance, but it's pretty acceptable for this type of vehicle, at least to go on some of those adventures. It's also been very comfortable too. Seats are really comfortable. I say they, at least for me, they're a little bit short behind the knee. I wish they extended just slightly more, but of course that is a personal opinion. Other than that, it has been very comfortable to drive. And then still in sport mode, second gear, pedal to the floor. Not all that bad. This definitely has a good bit of get up and go to it. So this is what it's like to be behind the wheel for the 25 Hyundai Santa Cruz. I do want to talk briefly about towing, because this model has the tow control on the left, but there's no hitch installed. With the factory hitch, the rating from Hyundai is about 5,000 pounds. I would say realistically, 3,500, maybe 4,000 is going to be enough for this 4-cylinder turbo. So if you are doing some adventures and you have a small trailer, maybe you're hauling some dirt bikes or something in that trailer, this is something that can do that. So if you have some lighter trailers, you will still have a practical vehicle for those situations. But again, very nice to drive. One thing that separates this from other pickups, as the two that you can see, we have a lot more performance with the one currently in front of us, but this is going to handle pretty decently for this type of vehicle. Since it's lower than a normal Hyundai SUV like that, a lower center of gravity, it handled those with ease. So if you're looking for a vehicle that, not something you're going to take out on some back mountain roads for some cornering, but if you want something that'll be confident around some turns like this at a normal rate of speed, there's really not much body roll, if any. So it can handle these very well, and it just gives you a nice, comfortable vehicle to drive. So I do know some people who have some pickups like this or similar to this, where we have the unibody construction to provide it with a smoother ride, 4-wheel independent suspension too. It's still something that is perfect for those types of buyers. So if you're not looking for maybe that rugged pickup truck, something large, something that'll go through gas or whatever it may be, just depends on your life activities and what you're looking for. Perfect option right here from Hyundai. So it's nice that they have dipped their toes into that market. But that is going to wrap it up for the 2025 Hyundai Santa Cruz. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with our daily uploads and I will see you all in the next video.